म्यूजिक के साथ कुछ किया हो बैकअप नहीं।
सादिक आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ सर आ रही है।
हाँ, वो करना है क्या? पुश करके देखना है एक बार।
सर मैंने पुश कर दिया ऑलरेडी जैज म्यूजिक के साथ वेलकम स्क्रीन को, आप एक बार चेक कर लीजिए।
हाँ मैं देख।
सादिक आवाज आ रही है? हाँ सर, अब मेरी आ रही है आपको? हाँ सर आ रही है। एक मिनट, वो करना है क्या? पुश करके देख। मैंने ऑलरेडी पुश किया हूँ जैज म्यूजिक के साथ वेलकम स्क्रीन को, आप एक बार चेक कर लीजिए। हेलो, जैज म्यूजिक के साथ वेलकम स्क्रीन को पुश किया हूँ मैंने, आप एक बार चेक कर लीजिए।
सादिक,
हाँ सर।
हाँ म्यूजिक आ गया है वहाँ पे।
ओके।
ये अभी भी डबल आवाज तू और मैं बात कर रहे हैं तो आ रही थी, इसका क्या है?
इसमें वेबएक्स में आ रही है।
हाँ जैसे अभी एक दो बार रिपीट हुआ था।
वो मैंने रिपीट किया एक्चुअली, शायद पता नहीं वो माइक में से जा नहीं रहा है क्या वो।
अच्छा एक मिनट बता। हेलो हेलो 1 2 3 माइक टेस्टिंग हेलो 1 2 3 माइक टेस्टिंग। ठीक है, ऑडियो ठीक आया, बट अभी म्यूजिक आना बंद हो गया उधर। वो तूने बंद कर रखा है क्या?
हाँ, मैंने म्यूजिक बंद किया ना एक्चुअली, आपका ऑडियो भेजने के लिए।
ठीक है, ठीक है।
Go.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome you all to the second day of IEEMA Annual Convention on Reimagining the World of Electricity. Yesterday, we had Secretary Power Government of India in our inaugural session. And in session 2 yesterday, we had leaders from global utility companies interacting with. Today, on the second day of the convention, we bring to you more interesting sessions with interaction with DISCOM leaders and industry leaders. So session 3 just now, this is based on the theme reimagining the transformation of DISCOMs. Indian power sector is poised for a big change where distribution system is being allowed for the entry by private players. In today's session, we have leading DISCOM leaders, both private and state DISCOMs. So let's interact with them on their plans and let's know more from them. I would request our Vice President, Mr. Neeraj Nanda, and President KEC International Limited to give the welcome address.
Thank you, Pragati. Thank you very much. Am I audible enough? Please give me a thumbs up for this.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So, good morning, everyone, and I welcome Shri G. Kumar Nayak ji, who is the Additional Chief Secretary to Government of Karnataka Energy Department. Shri A. Venu Prasad ji, Chairman and Managing Director, Punjab State Power Corporation Limited. Dr. Dhimant Kumar Vyas, Managing Director, Paschim Gujarat, which company limited? Shri P.K. Das, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Haryana, Energy Department. Shri Rajesh Bansal, Chief Executive Officer, BSES Rajdhani Power Limited. Shri Anil Sabu, President IEEMA. Shri Vijay Karya, Vice President IEEMA, Chairman of Ravin Group, and Mr. Anil Sabu is Chairman and Managing Director of Electrolyte Power. Today's session is being moderated by Mr. Shri Raghavendra Mirji, who is the Vice President and Business Unit Head for Godrej and Boys. All the delegates, my friends from industry who are on the call, I take this, consider this as my privilege to be part of such dynamic session on reimagining the transformation of DISCOM. Clearly, India has one of the largest and most complex power sector in the world. Over the past few decades, the country has witnessed a remarkable evolution from deficit situation to a surplus situation. Today, almost every citizen has access to the grid electricity, power deficiency has decreased sharply, and the installed renewable capacities has reached fourth in the total capacity of fuel breakup. Though Indian power sector is poised for a big challenge where distribution system is being allowed for an entry by the private players. And what are the opportunities and challenges which shall be faced by the electrical equipment industry in this transition, and what is the way forward? While on this particular thing, I would definitely bring in few remarks to set the pace and tone of where are we positioned today as an electrical sector as a whole. Clearly, we are changing. We are looking for a big change and a paradigm shift towards changing consumer load portfolios, renewable interventions and integration into a larger platform, distributed generation, proliferation of EVs and charging infrastructure, and uptake of battery storage system. While Government of India has their outlook of increasing the generation capacity to 800 gigawatts by 2030, while having a renewable mix of close to around 450 gigawatts, which itself is a big shift in terms of outlook, in terms of how this whole thing would have a consequent impact on the transmission and subsequently on the distribution. Certainly, we have achieved many goalposts, but there would always be certain economic challenges which would remain, which are being fully worked upon and in a holistic fashion. Whether we are talking about decarbonized economy by 2050, GDP growth of 8 to 10, 450 gigawatt renewable by 2030, and grid stability on variability of renewables. Looking at the variability on the inform or unforecastable generation, uncontrolled, how does that particular variability brings this grid stability? There are a few highlights which I picked up from ICRA, which brings quite a bit of insights and thought-provoking questions for all of us, which is in the industry. And one of them is the average cost of sale of power vis-a-vis average revenue realization. There is a deficit of almost 30 paisa per unit. In turn, this has much larger inflow and input on the deficit of the outstanding dues by the discoms to the producers, which runs into some 90 plus thousand crores. And obviously, the overall financial losses, which is being seen by the discoms by virtue of such deficits which are there on the average sales to average receipt. Government continue to work towards few elements which are part of this particular losses, which gets added the moment we are talking about the AT&C losses,
So,
which are
Abhishek,
presently at 21%.
ಅಣ್ಣಂದು
And-
ಇದು ಕೊಡು.
Raghavendra, if you can put yourself on mute, please. And the billing efficiencies, which on an average basis is standing at around 85%. And therefore, this continues to be a challenge overall. And government is working towards various reforms. And one of the latest ones which we have seen is merger of 33 kV system into the transmission system. And that's basically to improve the efficiency of substation systems. The reform-based result-linked power distribution sector schemes have been launched with an outlay of 3 lakh crores over 5 years. And obviously, reduction of AT&C losses plan by 12 to 15%. Reduction of ACR with average cost of sale to average revenue realization to 0 by 2024. And institutional capability of modern discoms, improvement of quality, reliability, and affordability of power is being substantiated by the Electricity Amendment Bill of 2020, where it talks about delicensing of distribution, strengthening of dispatch centers, institutional reforms, etc. Clearly, Discom's outlook as a creation and augmentation of substation lines at different voltage level, high voltage distribution system, feeder separation, etc., etc. So, ladies and gentlemen, at the end, I see there are few questions which we have in front of us, which we probably need to have a discussion on this particular platform and hear the views of the leaders from various states who can really help us and guide us, seeing how does this particular thing useful for the industry and what industry today starts to capture and adopt for meeting their aspirations. And those thought-provoking questions continues to be, how do we see the transition of this 33 kV help Discom in terms of achieving better performance? And therefore, the industry can look at it from the perspective of adoption. How can the Discom achieve predictive performance of their equipments? How can the load pattern be more predictive and mapped? How does the distributed generation off-grid solutions work in this particular line? Is the products need to be more adaptive? Is the testing element need to be more mobile rather than banking on only one or two institutions for their testing? And therefore, these are the areas where I see we would have the industrial competitiveness to be increased, and outlook on these particular areas would be very beneficial for the industry as a whole. And now I would like to conclude my address and see that we get few answers to the questions where we as an industry get benefited to. And I thank you for this particular opportunity to allow me to get those particular relevant questions and relevant ideas and outlooks being devised for all of our industrial friends. And now I invite Mr. Sabu, President, to put his remarks before we go for the panel discussion. Over to you, Mr. Sabu.
Thanks, Neeraj. Good morning to all dignitaries, delegates and friends from industries. The past few years have seen major developments in the power distribution sector in India. However, power distribution continues to be the weakest link in the supply chain of the power sector. The overall AT&C loss figure in India has been still high. Further, the distribution companies' inability to pay power generators endangers the financial health of the generators and their lenders, causing a negative domino effect on the economy. Many of the government's major initiatives such as Make in India or Atmanirbhar Bharat require access to reasonably priced, high quality power to take off. And India has the ambitious targets for the power sector. We are aiming for 24/7 power for all with 450 gigawatt of renewable capacity by 2030. Many schemes, Ujjwal, Discom Assurance Yojana, Deen Dayal Udyog Gramin, Gram Jyoti Yojana and Integrated Power Development Scheme were introduced. And now a revamped reform scheme with an allocation of rupees 3.05 lakh crore announced in this year's budget will hopefully bring the evolution and helps in turnaround of the distribution sector. Privatization of DISCOMs has often been seen as a way to improve overall sector efficiency. International experience suggests that privatization alone is not a nostrum for improving DISCOM performance. Generally, privatization is expected to infuse investment as well as improve efficiency. But problems of DISCOMs go beyond the ownership and reforms should address several structural issues such as high power procurement costs, surplus PPAs, an increasing proportion of renewable energy, regulatory assets, etc. In India, too, experience with privatization has been variable. We have mixed results in the country. Privatization helped in Delhi, but not so successful in Odisha. The government-owned DISCOMs in Gujarat are doing encouragingly well. In cities, it may work, but for rural areas, improvised mechanism after suitable analysis needs to be worked out. The policy initiatives of the Ministry of Power focusing on prepaid and smart metering that prevent commercial losses, improve transparency in billing, and empower consumers to control consumption, and ensure timely payments in the electricity supply chain, both by the state governments to DISCOMs and by DISCOMs in turn to GENCO, are all well steps in the right direction. Another option suggested in the past is to deduct DISCOM dues owed to both public and private power generating companies from state balances, with the RBI forcing states to take the necessary steps to fix DISCOM finances. It is very essential and important for the overall power sector to see how a sustainable turnaround in the financial and operational position of DISCOMs can be engineered. Neeraj mentioned about the equipment. I would suggest standardization of major equipment is an area where industry looks towards Ministry of Power and DISCOMs to support. One design, one quality, one specification, and one standard for the entire nation is the need of hour, which will save a lot of money being incurred towards maintenance, as well as cost of equipment shall be competitive. Another, we have to first invest in people and processes on priority, in addition to new equipments and technology under various schemes. They will deliver efficiency and cost as well as effectiveness in power system. And with today's session, with such eminent guests on the panel from various states, we are sure that we will find our way to transform our DISCOMs. Thank you and good day.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Nanda and Mr. Sabu, for setting the tone of the session today. Now we go to the next segment of today's session, that is panel discussion. I would like to invite our panel moderator, Mr. Raghavendra Mirchi, Senior Vice President and Business Head, Power Infra, Renewable Energy and Bus Duct Business, Godrej Electrical and Electronics Division of Godrej and Boyce Manufacturing Company Limited. He would take us through the panel discussion. I would request Mr. Mirchi to introduce our esteemed panel members first and then start with the session. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Pragati, and good morning, all of you. Mr. Nanda and Mr. Sabu has set the right context for the today's session on reimagining the transformation of DISCOM. Yes, Indian power sector is the largest and the most complex power sector in the world. It's on course for a decade of transition and transformation. Over the past decades, it has seen, we have witnessed n number of initiatives that has improved the sector's efficiency and growth. Country has also witnessed a lot of initiatives in the transformation of DISCOMs in the earlier years as well. Every citizen has access to the grid electricity today. Power efficiency has sharply decreased. Commitment towards green energy and rapid growth in the renewables, etc., is in place now. The power sector is also poised to grow in future. Looking at the drivers like a key, the very low per capita consumption in India today compared to the world's average, even to the China. Rapid urbanization, make in India manufacturing push, railway electrifications, all these are going to actually grow. DISCOMs are, vital stakeholders group in this transition and definitely will hold a key to the future of the sector. Hence, DISCOM transformation is a must. And today we have some experts with us, whom I call captains of the DISCOMs, and who will share how they are actually reimagining the future ahead for the DISCOMs. I take this opportunity to introduce and welcome our elite panelist for our today's discussion. We have with us Shri Rajesh Bansalji, Chief Executive Officer at BSES Rajdhani Power Limited, a power distribution professional with experience in all the aspects of power utilities operations like network, planning operations, capex optimization, adoption and adaptation of the newer technology, usage of OT and IT in maintaining network with minimal failure and faster outage management to ensure reliable power supply, coordination and meet expectations of various stakeholders, including the consumers. Before joining power utility, Mr. Bansal also for a decade worked in design, development and manufacturing of energy meters, which is a key component for the DISCOMs. With his knowledge about how the meter generate data, what affects meter data, its correlation with the events, and he has developed various analytical logic or objective oriented applications to use the meter for revenue protection, loss reduction, network health monitoring, and also predict installation quality and to bring down the electrical losses. Mr. Bansal, welcome to the session. We have another panelist, Shri G. Kumar Naik. Shri G. Kumar Naik, an IS Additional Chief Secretary to the Government of Karnataka in Energy Department. And he also is holding the concurrent charge as Additional Chief Secretary to Government of Karnataka for Higher Education Department. He has done his graduation in civil engineering in University Visvesvaraya College of Bangalore, and after obtaining his degree in first class, he appeared for civil services examination and qualified first for the Indian Customs and Central Excise Services and later to the Indian Administrative Service in 1990 batch. During the subsequent years, he has had the opportunity of serving and developing expertise in various sectors like power, education, tourism, health, etc. In Karnataka. And perhaps I would say he is the only officer in the country to have served in the three distribution, generation, and transmission. And he successfully focused on reducing distribution losses in Bangalore city while he was heading the BESCOM, and also erecting 400 kV transmission backbone from Raichur Bellary to Bangalore while in KPTCL on Eramas Thermal Power Station, Elahanka Gas Power Station. Sir, please welcome to the session. Another panelist, Dr. Dhimant Kumar B. Vyas. Dr. Vyas is a managing director, Pacham Gujarat Wij Company Limited. He is an IS officer and appointed as a managing director, Pacham Gujarat Wij Company Limited since 24th June 2021. Pacham Gujarat Wij Company Limited is the largest electricity distribution company in Gujarat state and awarded as A+ rating by Ministry of Power. His earlier assignment included additional secretary to the government of Gujarat in the water supply department, government of Gujarat, vice president Gujarat Urban Development Company, technical advisor to the Gujarat Water Supply and Sewage Board, chief engineer and additional secretary WR Department, government of Gujarat, chief engineer and director roads and buildings, and he also cleared his Indian Administrative Services in 2004. Welcome, sir, to the session. Another panelist, Sri A. Venu Prasad, Chairman and Managing Director, Punjab State Power Corporation Limited. Sri A. Venu Prasad is IAS, the Chairman and Managing Director of Punjab State Power Corporation Limited since 2020. He is also holding the concurrent charge as Additional Chief Secretary to the Government of Punjab Taxation Department. He did his MBA and MA in Public Policy from USA. He cleared his Indian Administrative Service in 1991. He has served as Deputy Commissioner Faridkot, Jalandhar, and Commissioner Excise and Taxation for Punjab. He has also served as Principal Secretary, Power, Punjab Secretary, Housing and Urban Department, as well as Additional Chief Secretary for the Local Bodies Punjab. In his tenure, he has worked very closely with the Power Department of Punjab, heading the department as Principal Power Punjab, CMD Punjab Transmission, and currently as the CMD of Punjab Discom. So I think we have a wealth of experience and knowledge today for our panel discussion. I once again welcome all the panelists to this discussion. To start with, I would like to invite Sri G. Kumar Naik, Additional Chief Secretary, Energy, Government of Karnataka, to take this discussion. Sir, question to you is, despite of the path-breaking measures, in the past to improve the efficiency and profitability of discoms, the distribution sector in the country is still facing significant challenges. The most discoms incur huge losses till financial year 21 is to the tune of 90,000 crores, and a huge outstanding, even to be paid to the Gencos. So what are the key contributing factors according to you, which is actually affecting the discoms despite of all these measures, and how financial stability you actually, like to see that can be achieved in the discoms in the future?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, President Anil Sabu. Good morning, Mr. Nanda. Good morning, Mr. Raghavendra, and everyone participating in the program, and good morning, co-panelists too. It's wonderful to be with you all today, annual convention 2021 of IEEMA. It's a great pleasure to reconnect with you because as Mr. Nanda was briefly mentioning, I am an old friend of yours because I have been in this sector for some time. In 2005, I was the managing director of BESCOM. Subsequently, I had an opportunity to work as KPTCL, Transmission Company MD, subsequently as the managing director of Generation Company too. So I am with you all along for a long time. So it's meeting old friends. And today's topic for discussion is really interesting, reimagining the world of electricity. IEEMA does not surprise me at all. It is the kind of work that you do, the way set tone for what's the thinking process and the actions across the country. You have been in the forefront in trying to guide the policies and the actions of various stakeholders. Reimagining the world of electricity is it's an absolutely appropriate term, and in that reimagining distribution sector would be the most important one or the most key element. As you will agree with me, the distribution sector is both a source of joy as well as a source of all our miseries. Source of joy because it is wonderful to see the last man's hut being lighted up in the far-flung village of the country. It's a fantastic thing that the distribution sector is able to do. That comes out of the reimagination of many of our political issues. Like earlier it was roti, kapda, makan, and subsequently it became what's that? Bijli, pani, and sadak. So that kind of a reimagination of politics also will give us a mandate to do certain things. We have launched a full-scale program to ensure that each and every household in the country is electrified. So it all comes with reimagination comes. It's not monodirectional. It has got a lot of impacts on various aspects. The important aspect of such kind of a expansion and such kind of an approach to power distribution. It is definitely an infrastructure element. There is no doubt. It is almost a public good. It's almost a public good, like a road or something like that. So everybody needs it for agriculture, for having a decent standards of living. All these things are enabled only by availability of power and its consumption in substantial quantities. But the magnitude of consumption is also a great factor, as rightly pointed out just now. We have reached out to the houses and huts in the country, but our per capita consumption is much lower as compared to other advanced countries. Forget about comparing with US, but definitely even if we can compare with other countries like European countries, China, we have got a lot of ground to cover. So this kind of reimagination, I would say, would emerge, will be necessitated by internal needs and urgent needs, and also the external stimuli. Both are acting at this point of time. Any time is exciting time, but this time, particularly when you and me are together here, is very exciting. Because as you can agree with me, we are reaching out to nooks and corners, there is no doubt. These are all the internal urges so that I should enable every citizen of the country to enjoy electricity. But externally also there are a lot of stimuli which are happening. Thought process that we should no longer use fossil fuels, but we should use the natural renewable energy. And subsequently we are looking at, and our functioning is keenly observed, and the ownership of the companies are debated, they are commented upon, the efficiency is questioned. All these things are happening. These are the stimuli which provoke us to reimagine how the distribution sector should function in the coming days. There are technology stimuli also, because each and every exciting thing that is happening in our cities or even in the villages, agriculture markets that we see, they're all driven by the kind of technology which was not there about even 5 to 10 years back. This kind of a stimuli is also there, which can give a shock to our distribution sector. So these are all the things which we should consider in the process of reimagination. I'm sure you agree with me that these are the fundamental factors by which we need to reimagine. As Raghavendraji has rightly pointed out, why this still continues to be a source of headache. How come its efficiency has not reached to that level, and why there are losses and things like that? So I think there are a number of points, a number of issues. The way we have started our lines and distribution network planning, it's all dependent on our desire to reach out to everybody. So there may be plus and minus in the whole thing. We will, as you know, the ownership is still with the government in most of the places. So the desire will be to do a public good rather than completely think like a businessman, completely think like a out and out commercial entity. So that is not the case as far as distribution companies are concerned as on today. So they will have that kind of a drag or the lag on that kind of finances. At the same time, once we have a regulator who understands our need and sets a tariff, there are a number of issues which need to be fulfilled to ensure the health or the economic health of the distribution companies. That is where there are certain issues. One is the efficiency of the distribution company personnel themselves in ensuring that each and every consumer is metered and billed, and subsequently the billed amount is actually collected. That is where performance comes to the fore. And somebody comments on the performance of a public sector company, they are very, very correct in identifying these factors, that a commercial entity or a private ownership would not leave this kind of gap. Even if it's a gap of 10%, 5%, that would mean a lot over a period of time to a commercial entity. Similarly, say in one way, the government is also, as state is also, when it enunciates policies of free power or highly subsidized power to the farmer sector, the agriculture sector, there is a implicit understanding that each and every pie that is spent is given back. There also there are issues. I don't want to comment further on that. As even if there is a gap of 5 to 10% annually, you can imagine the kind of pile up over a decade or so. All that comes and sits on the shoulders of the discounts. That is when you see it crying out pain. That is the problem. That is the pain of distribution sector. We need to reimagine and when we start reimagining, we come out with imagined government-formed policies and government-formed programs. Like the latest one in the offing is RDSS. It rightly sets the tone for reduction of losses as well as the reduction in the gap or even reducing the gap between ACS and ARR to zero. So this program will become a vehicle in the coming days. Another impulse which I cannot ignore, sitting in Bangalore, that too in an IT city, is that the possibility of digitization, the kind of services that are digitized across the economy. How come that electricity sector is still not digitized? If you have to look at digitization and its complete utilization of this power of technology, we look at a privatized company. I'm really surprised because we should have been the ones who should be utilizing it with far more efficiency. The government has been reaching out to each and every farmer. Today, with the press of the button, Karnataka government can send the money or the amounts to each and every farmer. That's millions of farmers in the state, across the state. When that kind of a power is possible, why this electricity sector cannot utilize the power of the technology for the benefit of both economic health of the discoms as well as giving the consumer a very seamless and a very pleasant experience. Right now, what the experience has not changed much. Let me be very frank with you. It's 2005 onwards. All of us are in touch. So in this forum, let me say that there's a lot of work to be done. That is where it has improved. And it's not that it has not improved, but it definitely has a way to go. Absolutely seamless experience is possible. I can sit in my home, I can apply for this thing, and I need not be made to run around. Electricity is definitely public good. It's not good of the linesman or the assistant engineer who is in the field. So this kind of a feeling, the consumer, if he gets, and the purpose is defeated. I think we need to use the technology in a great way to make this experience seamless, and the consumer should be rightly made the king in the whole story. I will just stop at that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Naik, for your views. And I like the word you used. Let make the discom the source of joy. And I think that's very important, and it really supports the session's title today. So with that, you touched upon the efficiency, and then I invite Sri Venu Prasad ji, CMD PSPCL, for my next question. As part of operational reforms, metering, billing, and collection efficiency are the fundamental to the DISCOM's profitability, which Mr. Naik also mentioned. So it's a continued improvement in this will also help in bringing the AT&T losses down. Though India has seen a great improvement, and today we are at about 22%, and what we used to be earlier, but it is still high compared to the world's average of about 8%, and even China it is at about 5%. Sir, Punjab state has shown good results in bringing the AT&T losses to the the best of the levels compared to the other states. And I would like to know your thoughts on the what are the initiatives that you have driven, the PSPCL driven to bring this efficiency up, and also how it can be done with the technological innovations, taking the help of the manufacturing community in India, who also can contribute through their technology. So your thoughts on this, sir?
Thank you very much. Without wasting much time, I will directly first answer your question. As you rightly said, T&C losses are very crucial and fundamental for any utility to survive, to compete, and to float. So today, Punjab Power Corporation, our losses are to the tune of 14.5 or so. Maybe one of the best in the country. But if you come, as you rightly said, if you compare with China and other countries, there is still a gap of 6 to 7%. 1% reduction in T&C losses will add to my 200 crores revenue. So roughly 14% means 2,800 crores per year. So even if you are reduced by 5%, my revenue will increase, net revenue will increase by 1,000 crores. So as you rightly pointed out, our aim and objective should be to reduce or bring it completely. It is not possible, but at least reduce it to the accepted levels of maybe 10%, 12% in the next 3-4 years. For this, energy auditing is the most important and the crucial aspect. In energy auditing, starting from the feeder to DT metering and then to consumer metering. Today we have smart meters. We have purchased about 1 lakh smart meters recently. Our observation is smart meters, if you install, the most important and the immediate gain is low hanging fruit is the load. Most of our consumers, they declare load below the actual load. So when we connected with smart meters, automatically they are bound to increase their load. So our payback period is about within 3 years, 3.5 years, we can get invested money on smart meters. So energy auditing is the most important thing. So starting from feeder, DT metering and consumer metering. So without auditing or having simply smart meters, it won't help. So by doing proper energy auditing, we should be able to pinpoint where are the losses. And the accountability on field staff will also increase considerably. So this thing is we should go as a DISCOM or as a country as a whole, we should go for immediately energy auditing and smart metering system to improve our revenues, to plug the leakages. But the main challenge is when we float any technological based tenders, the success of tenders is very difficult. Keep on regularly floating the tenders. One company or the other company objects to it, whether smart meters company has to be allowed or IT companies have to be allowed. There are so many issues. So it is a very complex system, especially floating an IT tender or floating a smart meter tender and getting desired results is a very difficult today. But now Government of India with the new scheme, they have prepared a standard bidding document. I am sure with that we can improve considerably. The second, Punjab, what we have done is digital payments. About 10,000, now it is mandatory for every consumer to make the digital payment. Roughly about 70% of our payments now we are collecting digitally. As a result of this, we are saving interest costs itself by about 200 to 300 crores per year. That is one. Previously, many people used to deposit the checks, and ultimately, with the connivance of the lower staff, they are unable to deposit in the banks and unable to realize the money. All these fraudulent practices were in practice. So with this digital payments making it mandatory about 10,000, so it is giving also very good results. So these are the future technologies discoms have to use. The era of previously we are deficit era, now we move to surplus era. Now it is the quality era. Now every consumer wants quality 24/7 power supply at an affordable price. The price is also very important, especially the political economy of power sector is very important. Now, especially in northern sector, one party talks about 300 units free power and all, because affordability is very important. So, look, so we have to work on affordability also, and ultimate objective is to reduce the cost of power. Today, my power average procurement cost is 4 rupees 90. We brought it down to 440 or 450. Ultimately, our aim is it should be less than 3 rupees. And my prediction is in the power sector, after 15-20 years, power cost will become like a mobile cost today. Mobile, you are paying only basically 500 rupees and bothered how much you are using. It is also going to be the power sector scenario. As my friend already mentioned, there will be a paradigm shift in the power sector in the next 15 years or so. Today, solar yield is about 15-20%. It may go up to 40%. Then every household is going to be a producer of the solar. And at the same time is a consumer. The battery technology is going to come down drastically. Even today also, most of our power paying consumers like colleges, universities, autonomous, they are all moving to solar and they are taking bare minimum power from us, from the utilities. So there is going to be, with the Electricity Act is also in the Parliament, that carriage and content. So the topic you have chosen is a very correct topic, and it is going to be very useful not only for the administrators but also manufacturers, IEEMA members, because ultimately whatever the change is going to come, it is you are the front runners and you are going to implement it, whether it is a GIS based substations, whether it is smart meters, whether it is digital technology, whether it is meter reading, billing and collection automation. So your role is going to be increased over a period of time. So with these few words, I think I have answered your question to a little bit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Just a follow-up question on the same topic. You talked about smart metering, energy audits, and also the digital payments, which are a very good initiatives. And you also talked about bringing the cost also low and making it affordable. Sir, electricity, looked at two different things. So one is as an essential public service, which is a provision at a low rate, which you mentioned, and also a commodity to bought and sold on the market like any other things. So how do you really see a balance in this, which is very important aspect to bring the efficiency in the discount?
Yes, as you rightly said, especially discoms like Punjab, our load profile is completely skewed. In winters, we go down up to 4,000 megawatt, and in summer, the peak this year we touched even up to 15,000 megawatt. So this type of load curve is only peculiar to Punjab state, and it is nowhere in the country at least. So for managing this, if we have a base load and if you are planning at the load of 14,000 or 15,000, then you are hugely surplus for 8 months. And suppose if you are planning for 8,000, you are hugely deficit in summer. So this is a very big interesting dilemma we always face in Punjab. Now what is happening is with the last 2-3 years, we are more concentrating on ATC and TTC limits, transfer capability of power, because previously it was only 4,800 megawatt I had. So beyond that, I cannot bring power from outside the state. Today, with new technologies and new upgradation of our infrastructure, we brought it to 6,800 megawatt, and next year we are planning to touch 8,000 and 10,000 megawatt. Once I have a transfer capability of 10,000, then I can play with the power availability and power requirement. So today Punjab is one of the active participants on power exchange. So when power is available at 80 paisa, 90 paisa, why should I produce? Especially in the winters. So we buy power. Ultimately, as of today, our 60,000 MUs, last year we purchased on power exchange about 20,000 MUs of roughly about 20 to 25% of power we purchased from power exchange, whether day ahead market or RTC or long-term contracts or banking or bilateral agreement. So this is going to be the reality tomorrow, because even I always suggest, previously, suppose I am having 1,000 megawatt, there is a horizontal division, that is, okay, Punjab will get 400 megawatt, Haryana will get 200 megawatt, other state will get 200 megawatt. Whether it is required or not, it is equally distributed. So I suggested Government of India, instead of equally distributing, you distribute based on the requirement. Okay, Punjab will take in the month of June, July, August. Himachal will take in the month of December, where their peak is winter season. Jammu Kashmir will take in the month of December, January, February. So if you divide month wise, depending on the requirement, then half of the problem will be solved to a great extent. And second is flexibility in the power exchange. This year, and power exchange prices is unpredictable. Sometimes it depends on the coal prices, availability of power, and the rainfall pattern. The rates went up to even 19 rupees, 20 rupees per unit during the peak period last month. And at the same time, it came down up to 1 rupee or 80 paisa also. So for discoms have to be very active on the power exchange also. Now with the latest thermal technology, thermal plants technology is available, it is very easy to back down up to 50%. So suppose if I am having a capacity of 660 megawatt a thermal plant, I can bring it down to 330, and if market price is lower, buy it from there. So this type of option is available, and all discoms should use this type of option, and it will help. And because of doing all these things, this year we have showed about 1400 crore profit in 2021. It is the highest in the recent past. Last year also we ended up in about 1100 crore losses, and this year we brought it down we completely wiped out the last year losses, and we entered into a profit of 1400. Today, Discom of Punjab, no liability, whether we have cleared all generated dues, and
Oh, that-
we have cleared all generated dues, all material suppliers dues, unless if there is a litigation, that is a secondary issue. But otherwise, and last year we paid penalty of 150 crores, and this year we have not only avoided penalty to the generators, and we have got the incentive of 2%, which works out to be about 70-80 crores. So that is also a huge amount. So
Yeah.
ultimately we should work on these lines. Power exchange, a dynamic team should be there. We have established a power purchase cell in the Discom itself. Thank
So
you.
thank you, thank you very much for sharing these insights, sir. I think these initiatives and the results that you have shown, 1400 crores of profit, is very inspiring to the other discoms as well. So now I will move on to invite Shri Rajesh Bansalji, CEO of BSES Rajdhani. Sir, actually, we talked about operational reforms, and both the panelists mentioned about efficiency and initiative that can really improve the operational parameters to lead to a healthy discoms. But equally, the structural reforms also plays a major role. And privatization of discoms is seen as a way to improve overall sector efficiency. Electricity Act has brought in competition, earlier delicensing the generation, and the draft amendment further suggesting for delicensing franchisee model in distribution as well. So while a high degree of privatization is seen in a generation, say at about 47% today, a private participation in generation, but channeling a private investment in distribution remains a big challenge. And it's just about 10% is what the private distribution channels are actually active today. And you being one of the successfully run discoms, privately held discoms, can you share your thoughts on what are the challenges, being a private player, and what are your suggestions for the policy reforms in the private participation ahead?
Good morning. Good morning to all my co-panelists, IEEMA officials, and all delegates who are virtually watching this particular program. You have asked about the privatization initiatives in India and what are the challenges we private companies are facing, and what policy reforms I recommend so that we can have a higher degree of participation by the private company in the power distribution business. I was expecting some question on the technical side, being my technical background, but this is something which is more related to the policy side. Certainly, we have, during the introduction, phrase was used that power distribution company is one of the weakest link in the entire power distribution chain. Here I have just a small thing to add. In fact, this weakest link worked most efficiently without any restrictions and with 100% efficiency during the COVID time, and ensured every house which has any oxygen concentrator or any children who is taking the class, he get uninterrupted power supply. So this was the performance of the weakest link. And in fact, they also ensured that the containment area, the hotspots where nobody had a dare to go or to enter into the area, forget about the individual house. These people, they entered whenever there was a power outage and they ensured that thing also. So this was the performance of the weakest link. But it is right also that why the power sector is, or the distribution companies are considered as the weakest link. It is mainly related to the financial health of the distribution companies. And the financial health of the distribution company does not totally depend upon the management of the distribution company. Of course, they play the biggest role, but there are various policies which are associated with the power distribution business in India, which affects the ultimate financial health of of any private or any distribution company. Now, these policies have uniform effect, whether it is a government company or whether it is a private company. But in case of government company, like we have certain reforms, like recently we have reformed of RDS, but I am sure you must be aware that RDS or the grant and loan under the RDS will not be available to the private distribution company. Now imagine such type of policies, they have a uniform impact as far as the working of any distribution company is concerned. What I mean to say, when we make any policy, either we make a policy related to the cross subsidy, we make a policy about carriage and content, we make a policy about prepaid meters, we make a policy about merit order dispatch, any policy we make, it has an impact on the demand curve, it has an impact on the load curve, it has an impact on the net load curve. Power flow is basically flow of electron, and it hardly matters who owns the company or who manages the company, whether it is a private company or whether it is a government company. And similarly, any power going to a AC is independent whether the AC belongs to a domestic consumer or a commercial consumer and other things. So what happens, the policies what we make, incidentally, my first suggestion is it should be uniform if the affected party is the power distribution system, its efficiency and reliability, and ultimately the consumer who is the citizen of India. So this is first thing which I believe, if a note can be taken, that as far as loans and grants are concerned, should be uniformly available. In fact, we private companies should also be allowed to compete whenever there is an award ceremony for the best utility also. So we should also be entitled for that. So this is the first which I feel is required. And second thing is, we as a distribution company, our performance and our financials are controlled by, are regulated by honorable commissions. And so, in fact, the financial health, it should be partly their responsibility also, that they should also take the responsibility to ensure the good financial health of the distribution company, whether it is a government company or a private company. And that is also very critical. And in fact, with so much complexity of continuous amendment in the laws, so much the higher consumer expectations, lot of technology which is coming, and the power procurement system is becoming much complex. The basic definition of power distribution, I always define the power distribution as to meet the consumer demand, or rather to meet the demand of each consumer for safe, reliable, and quality power with efficiency and best customer service. Now, this definition is there 10 years back. This definition is applicable today also, and it will be applicable in future also. But if we analyze, the definition has changed a lot. Earlier, we used to talk about power for all. Now, we have to talk for power for each consumer. A big difference. Power for all is like arrangement. Power for each is a commitment that I will deliver you. We are talking about the safe power. Earlier, the power safe was from the user point of view, the safe to use. Now, when we say the safe power means it's not only safe for use or the network safety, it means even safe for the environment. It means a lot of renewable. It means even rooftop solars. It means the wind energy, unpredictable energies, and the quantums are going up. So with so much complexity which is coming, on one hand, we are definitely considering for re-engineering of the electrical network and the devices. The role of the regulator is much more, and jointly all of us has to take the responsibility to ensure whether it is private managed company or a government managed company or a corporate managed company, it is immaterial. So the uniformity of the policies, the applicability of the policies should be based on whether it is affecting the management of the company or it is for the ultimate consumer or ultimate citizen of India, one, and the higher responsibilities and the defined responsibility, the key performance indicator of the what we use in our industrial language should be defined even for the regulators also. A small example is maybe most of the utilities have regulatory assets, but if you see the generation company and transmission company, do they have a regulatory assets? Now these things are need to be reviewed, and if suppose we feel there is a need to create a regulatory asset, why not to the all the sectors of the or all the suggestions as far as policies are concerned, and I feel if these two basic things can be addressed, then this thing will be addressed. And finally, yes, cost is a big parameter, and so we are all moving towards the digitalizations. The way the load curves are becoming unpredictable because of renewables. The load curves are becoming unpredictable because of electrical vehicle. When we say load, earlier we used to define load or demand as kilowatt, megawatt. Now it is no longer kilowatt, megawatt. It is definitely kilowatt, megawatt, but location and time also. So today, when we say consumer demand, it means whatever quantity, wherever he want, at whatever time he want. So we have to meet all the three parameters. So where the load curves are becoming unpredictable, where the load curves has large variations, where the load curves have sudden change, sudden ramp up, sudden ramp down. To manage them, we have to have lot of digitalizations, and we have to have smart sensors. We have to have measuring instruments, meters on each and every assets. It's not the load curve of the company, it is the load curve of each distribution transformer, the load curve of each grid, load curve of each feeder, even load curve on each pole, each gully, each colony, each mohalla, and so on. So we have to know what is my load curve, what is my demand curve, what is my net demand curve. I feel these three terms are totally, they are different, they are interrelated, but they are different. And there is a need that these to be appreciated by all, because it is the load curve which decides the entire performance of the company, whether it is T&D losses, whether it is cost of power, whether it is the cost of infrastructure, whether it is cost of supply, whether your OPEX, whether your CAPEX, whether your infrastructure cost, your T&D losses, your technical losses, your failure, your SADI, your SAFI, your manpower requirement, everything boils down to the load curve. And with time, the load curves are becoming more and more complex, unpredictable, large variation, and these are the issues, these are the concerns, these are the challenges. Now, to address these challenges, we need a lot of support as a private company or even a private management. They need a support. In Delhi, we have such peculiar problem. Like we have recently, we just heard about the Punjab, the variation in the load curve. So it is in Delhi also. Apart from the large money which is required to address the peak of the load curve and also the surplus during the low demand, the biggest issue what we are facing is the space. Now, we private company, how can we arrange a space from the public places or something like that? So these type of supports are required certainly to make the system more viable, strengthen the system, because definitely electricity sector is the backbone of the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bansal. I think the uniform policies and the way efficiently the load is managed are the crux to successfully, drive these initiatives. I'll come back to you on the more technical question as well as on the demand side questions. Before that, I will move on to a very important topic, and I invite Dr. Dhimat Kumar Vyas, MD Pachchim Gujarat Wijj Company Limited. Sir, India's progress on renewable energy over the last 5 years has been very inspiring. And India also has shown a great commitment towards low carbon economy and actually putting up a very ambitious plan of achieving 450 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. Discoms need to prepare for this transition and also a quick integration. So please tell us the challenges, the policy reforms like open access, net metering, consumer retail choice, etc., that can really benefit and consumers as well as to achieve the ambitious target. Gujarat being definitely one of the leading states in adopting the renewable energy, we would like to know more from you how the Discoms are gearing up to this transition.
Thank you, Rajendra ji. Initially, I convey my thanks to IEEMA for giving this opportunity and this platform wherein we are able to discuss on this topic of reimagining the transformation of the Discoms. The voice of Discoms is very important while finalizing the policies in the power sector. Very recently, as has been discussed, the revamped distribution sector scheme that has come up from Government of India, mainly focusing for operational efficiency as well as the financial stability of the power sector, especially for Discoms. Smart meterings, anything from smart metering to strengthening of the infrastructure has been considered in it. But the next logical steps that are likely to come would be delicensing of the distribution system, portability, reinforcement of the climate change agenda that is looked into, the regulatory reforms that would be required, and also supply of the advanced equipments, keeping in view the motto of Atmanirbhar Bharat as well as the Make in India motto. However, pooling of the renewable energy has also come up. Having a uniform tariff for the renewable energy across the country, that idea has also been floated by the ministry, and that is also being worked upon. So looking to all these things, ultimately, we are talking of about 3 Ds: decarbonization, decentralization, digitalization, and I would add the 4th D, that is more democratizing the entire sector. The role of the DISCOMs, which has to be looked now, becomes a very different when we are inviting the private participation in this sector. The role of the DISCOM becomes more of monitoring and facilitating. Now, the question is whether we are looking to a replacement of a DISCOM, say a replacement of a government DISCOM company by a private DISCOM company, or whether we are looking at a model where the role of the government DISCOM company will still be there with a changed focus. The focus may be of more of facilitating, more of monitoring, more of redressal of the issues, of the consumer issues, more of the say, auditing part of the supply to the consumers, and the execution part, the capital works, the O&M and the supply and installation and other parts may be carried out by the private agencies as part of the vendors or agencies to the DISCOM. Now, so there are two thoughts of schools. One, what perhaps mostly what has been visualized is a private sector company or a private sector DISCOM replacing the government DISCOM for the given area. That may be one model. The other model, perhaps what we are imagining, is that still the government DISCOM has a larger role to play with the changed agenda and the changed focus. And that may be, as I said, on the facilitating part and the monitoring part. So this has to be discussed a little more, and then accordingly the regulatory reforms has to be made so that we can accommodate the requirements. Depending on the kind of activities that are being carried out by the DISCOM companies across the nation and across the various states, right from power purchase to the distribution to the smallest hutment, as it was said, I don't think that there can be a 100% replacement of the government DISCOM by a private DISCOM and the government DISCOM may be scrapped out. No. The role changes. Accordingly, social engineering also would have to be an important part of the entire process. In fact, my experience with the telecom sector earlier where I worked and with the water sector earlier where I worked, whenever we are introducing the private participation in the sector, the government's role becomes more challenging, wherein the capacity building of the existing staff, redeployment of the existing staff has to be thought of. What amount and what level of the staff would be brought in by the private sector, what amount and up to what extent the current staff of the government sector would be utilized, how their services would be taken care of. Then also the training part, awareness part, both on the staff and the consumer side, as well as more focus on the grievance. As rightly pointed out, everybody wants 24/7 uninterrupted power supply. So the quality of the power supply concerns. Now, so far as the quantity is concerned, we have more or less become surplus and we are moving ahead in that direction. But the quality part has also to be looked into it. The quality part may be looked into it with the help of the changed role of the government DISCOMs and with the additional benefit of the privatization, the private sector participating in providing infrastructure, in providing finance, in providing the O&M services. And so this kind of things has to be talked into details and perhaps the model has to be worked out. Maybe it is possible that the same model may not be applicable in all the states. So depending on the states and depending on their workability, the models have to be thought of. So I look forward that this esteemed forum of IEEMA may bring in various think tanks through which we can finalize these models, and perhaps we may put up these models for the regulatory reforms that are going to come up in the near future. As very rightly pointed out by the earlier panelists, that in order to say ensure the financial stability of the discom companies, special purpose vehicles at different levels may be created, wherein these special purpose vehicles may support financially not only the government discoms but also to the private discoms, and so that initially maybe say for a period of 5 years or a period of 10 years, these special purpose vehicles may support the roles of the discoms that are envisaged in the coming years. The private sector also, although it is expected that normally when we talk of privatization, it is expected that private sector will bring in finance. But it is not always true that they will 100% be able to generate their private finance from their own source. Always gap viability has to be looked into it. Now this gap viability may be supported through special purpose vehicles, wherein which will help us ultimately to bring in the efficiency in the operations with the help of these private participations. So these are the kind of the issues which we think we should be looking forward as the gist of the outcome of this 2 days program, which has been organized by IEEMA. Now, one more thing which I wanted to bring out as part of this discussion was that, say, strengthening the infrastructure, going for smart equipments, going for digitalization process, all these things are okay. This has to be there with the advancement of the time. But parallelly, the social engineering part, perhaps which normally as technocrats we are missing out, we must introduce that in all the sections of the parts of the entire process of this transformation, because unless we do that, the transformations cannot be successful in the real terms. So, with this thing, I would say that the future approach has just begun and the best is yet to come in the power sector. So, all these things, let us start the process wherein ultimately we will be able to provide best quality solutions to the users of our nation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Vas, Mr. Vas, for this insights. And you clearly mentioned that the changed focus or the changing role of a government, in monitoring and facilitation and also on a social engineering is a good thoughts. So on that note, I would like to invite Mr. Naik once again. Mr. Vas talked about the private, the responsibility of the government also in terms of monitoring and facility. The distribution franchise model is one such opportunity where government can really, outsource and then manage certain things, monitor it and facilitate. And there are good results which are actually evident in to reduce the AT&T losses, improving the billing and collection efficiency. Example of the Bhiwandi in Maharashtra or maybe in Odisha has given also a good results over the last 3-4 years. Sir, what are your thoughts in implementing across the discoms, such franchise models, and how do you feel their challenges? So maybe a quick answers. I will get into the another important topic to cover in the next 10 minutes. Mr. Naik, please.
Raghavendra, you can go for another question for somebody else.
Okay. So the next question is to Mr. Venu Prasad. Sir, regulatory independence is a must to achieve overall efficiency. So how do you see role of a CERC and SERC in reforming the governance of the power sector? So, and I know there are difficulties in or maybe certain conflicts in managing the entire framework. But what are your suggestions for a better governance, and how do you see things shaping up in the future?
Yeah, thank you very much. A difficult question to answer. Uh, Independent regulator, when we are going for liberalization, independent and complete market-based economy, independent regulator is going to play a very crucial role, as you all know. But regulator, one, you should have a complete domain knowledge, subject knowledge, expertise, and the field problems, and at the same time, public policy knowledge also. Because now, especially power sector, about 10 years back, 20 years back, roti, kapda, makan, we used to talk about. Today, it will start with power only. In any election, especially northern India, everyone talks about power, power, power. So one is giving. So in that context, the role of regulator is very important. Whether suppose whether it is subsidy to be given, whether it is to be power reduction, rates reduction, or even increasingly we are going for the especially generation side. We are getting, I think today, previously PSPCL, 80% of power we were getting from the own thermal plants. But today, our dependence on our own thermal plant is only even less than 10%. We are hugely dependent on outside generators. So in that context, the role of regulator is very important. So regulator has role is not only regulate the power sector, but it should also a guide. Because of regulator overall picture, he looks into other states and other countries. His job is to today regulate not only to the power distribution utility, transmission utility, generator, but also to the government. So regulator has a role, very important role to play. So even though many states now they talk about regulator is being appointed, is a political appointee and all these things, but at the same time, irrespective of whether it's appointed by the A government or B government or C government, they have a crucial and very important role to play, not only helping the consumers but also the utilities. And I'm sure the role of regulator is going to increase in future as when we go more and more towards privatization, carriage and content separation, and other things to play, because especially now, previously my suppliers, especially power supplier generators, were only 10, 20, but today I'm having 160 power suppliers. So whether it may be solar, whether it may be biomass, wind, thermal, hydro, all. So PPA question of interpretation of PPAs and other things, the problems are there. So regulator is a important institution and it is going to be an important institution. So it should act as a regulator, guide and a philosopher to not only to consumer but also to the distribution companies.
Oh, that's a very nice closing that you are putting regulatory as a friend, philosopher, and a guide. And I hope it truly comes out in defining of the policy frameworks and improving the efficiency. Thank you, sir. And then moving to Mr. Bansal once again. You talked about load management in a big way, and I'm completely convinced how cost effective the cost efficiency depends on that. So managing demand side efficiency is one of the operational reforms, I would say, and is one of the cost effective response in the rising electricity demand. So initiatives like automated demand response ADR, we call behavioral energy efficiency BEE, real time pricing RTP, etc., are some of the advanced initiatives to support this. And I'm aware that BSES also has taken a pilot study for the behavioral energy efficiency thing. Can you throw us more light on these initiatives in reducing the overall cost and bringing the efficiency of the discoms?
See, as I said, the performance of any distribution company largely depends upon how well they can manage their demand curve or load curve. I use the word demand curve from the consumer point of view when I look from the any flow from the consumer side, and I say load curve when I look for the network asset side. So the total operational efficiency and various parameter what we talk around, actually they are directly, indirectly, they are correlated with the demand curve or with the load curve. In BRPL, we have a T&D losses in the range of 7.2% and collection efficiency in the range of 100%. So these are some operational parameter, but as I said, unpredictability, large variation, sudden variation, and seasonal variation in the load curve and load curve versus generation curve mismatch. These are the challenges which are there, and there is a need to address those challenges. And in fact, we can expect in future these challenges will further grow. The quantum of the variation will further grow. The quantum of unpredictability will grow, and there is no option. We have to have safe power. We will going to have electrical vehicles. There will be larger participation by the consumer. There will be more distributed generation, and so on. So these are the challenges, these are the concerns, and on the other hand, we have higher expectations of consumers, of customers, and other stakeholders. But I always believe the solution of a problem lies in the problem only. On the one hand, if the rooftop is a challenge, the unpredictability is a challenge, not availability of data is a challenge, then it has an advantage also because the generation is right at the load point. And so is the electric vehicle. If it is a challenge, we don't know what location, what time, when he will charge, but then it has batteries also. So the solution to that also lies in the problem only. Only thing is we have to tame the resources, we have to tame the initiatives, we have to tame the technology so that we can address these issues. Now, these issues can be addressed by two different ways. One is the initiatives taken at the consumer end because it's a demand side management, and second is initiative taken at the network end, which I say the load side management. On the demand side management, yes, we tried the BE, that's consumer behavior efficiency program. We tried with the Oracle company. There was a big company called O Power, which was the leader in that. Now it is merged with Oracle. So in 2014, I signed an agreement with this US company, and we had a study about that. And the purpose of the study was, and the basic tool they have used is to share the data to the consumer about, in the locality or maybe in their society, whether they are the one who consume the maximum power, or they are the one who are using the power efficiently, or they are the one who is using the power when there is a peak, and so on. And this way we used to share information and motivate them that, to change their load curve, which suits the overall. So without affecting their working, and ultimately it suits the thing. It was a trial, so there was an impact, but not so much that I can say the company profile has changed. But in those locality where we did, yes, there was an improvement, and we have again filed a DPR where we wanted to go further. And we believe that ADR will also have a big this thing. Not only ADR, even simple DR also will have a big impact. But
Thank you, sir.
the load,
Please.
coming to the load side, we have taken certain initiatives which are on the digitalization side. And of late, we are telling our vendors, please change, please re-engineer your product, your services, because I believe there is a time now the product need to be changed. The manufacturers, IEEMA represents the manufacturers to go away from the product, and now they have to provide solution. So the future is not for product, but for the solution. The future is not in the manufacturing, but providing the solution and services. The future is not designing the product for against the GTP or specification, but designing the product based on the functionality and SLA agreement. There is type test is not enough. We have to have field validation, and of course, rather than having intelligent and proprietary product, we have to have products which are interoperable and can be integrated with the network. So these are the re-engineering what we are pursuing with our vendors, and in fact, I can say this is what is expected from other IEEMA member also. And I feel once we change our philosophy, that is from product to solution, or from manufacturing to service provider, or from GTP to functionality and type test to validation, field validation. I can just say, we talk about smart metering. Why smartphones are popular? Smartphones are not popular because the phones are smart. The smartphones are popular because the apps are smart. Imagine a smartphone without a WhatsApp, without Facebook, without internet. Will anybody buy? No. So the time is not just making the smart sensors or smart meter. Equal need is the smart applications. So there is a big need, and we are working on this line. And we hope, because the smart meters are not for us, that our loss are 7.2% or our satisfaction is in the range of 3 hours per year or so. But we have a lot of expectations, and the main purpose of the smartness is to address the expected variations, unpredictability, which we are going to face in the demand. So this is what I want to share.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bansal. I think we have short of time now. We need to close. Just just some particular thing. We had a very exciting session all these last 1 hour or so, and every panelist has brought in a great insight, and I could see very exciting days ahead. So whether it is in improvement towards operational reforms, the technical improvements in terms of the efficient use of metering, the reduction of AT&T losses, the energy audits, and also the uniform policies, to accommodate the renewables, seamlessly into the structure. So all these things definitely will improve the DISCOM's both financial as well as the operational efficiency. And we would move forward and see at the end of the tunnel a light, which is profitable DISCOM performing ahead. Thank you very much, and over to Pragati.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Mirji, for beautifully conducting this panel, and I'm sure the delegates must have interesting insights from our esteemed speakers. Now we move to the close of today's session on the session with DISCOMs. I would invite Vice President IEEMA and CMD Ravin Group of Companies, Mr. Vijay Karia, for his closing remarks and vote of thanks.
Thank you, Pragati, and thank you to all the panelists for a very enlightening and enriching session. I myself learned quite a lot from these talks, and I'm sure the 500 odd people who are listening in to this session would have been very enriched by your talks. Of course, we learned in the morning that Mr. Rahate, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Power, could not make it. Developments that have taken place. So first of all, let me thank Mr. G. Kumar Nayak, IAS and Additional Chief Secretary, Energy Department, Government of Karnataka. He praised IEEMA also quite a lot, so I thank you, sir, for your kind and warm words. Shri A. Venu Prasad, Chairman and Managing Director, Punjab State Power Corporation Limited. Again, very enlightening and very enriching talk, so thank you. Dr. Dimant Kumar P. Vyas, again, the Managing Director of Paschim Gujarat Wij Company Limited. Thank you, always very nice to listen to you. I think Mr. Rajesh Bansal, as usual, he is very eminent and very strong pillar of IEEMA in most of our events. So thank you, Mr. Bansal, for being with us. Of course, I think Mr. Raghavendra Mirji, sorry. Sir, your moderation, your remarks, your pointed questions were excellent, and thank you for enriching all of us. We've greatly benefited from you. And of course, let me, last but not the least, thank my friends and my fellow colleagues, and first the eminent president of IEEMA, Mr. Anil Sabo, who has envisaged and also executed this program to near perfection. Thank you, Sabuji. Mr. Neeraj Nanda, Vice President and a colleague, and his opening remarks and his very sharp guidance on what needs to be done were very enriching. Of course, I should not forget the person who organized this and who was instrumental in organizing this, and that's Mr. Hamza Arsiwala, the incumbent Vice President of IEEMA. So Hamza, a special thanks to you for all the support that you have provided. We really enjoyed the session and we look forward to more such enriching sessions. From your side, I'm sure we'll get more and more people to listen in, especially in today's world when we are seeing that the power situation that we are suddenly seeing emerging in China is a lesson that we all need to learn, even in India, and it's something which we should keep at the top of our minds when we take our electricity, and also I would take the opportunity to say the electrical equipment manufacturers for granted. So thank you. We know that it's a difficult world, an impossible world to live in without electricity. The world is moving towards electricity, and therefore to keep you all electrified, we at IEEMA are always there present with you all. So we look forward to associating with all the eminent people once again, as and how the time and opportunity permits. Thank you everybody once again, and special thanks to the audience for being so patient. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Karia. And with this, we come to the close of session 3 of IEEMA annual convention. Now we'll meet you again at 12:30 with one more interesting session with the industry leaders. Thank you, delegates. Stay tuned and see you at 12:30. Thank you so much.